Okay, we're live. Welcome to the Magic Minds podcast. I'm Matt Burke. Today's show is slightly different to our normal show. Today I'm going to bring you a collaboration of other interviews I've done before. Today's show is called Suicide Talk Time, which is aimed at increasing awareness for today, National Suicide Awareness Day, the 10th of September. So the people that are going to be on the show today are people I've already interviewed. Dr. Maria Frampton and Maeve Nolan, clinical psychologist from the National Rehabilitation Hospital. We're also going to bring you snippets from the shows of Shane Kirkwood and Alison MacCarvil, two people that have previously attempted to take their own lives. So we're going to dip in and out of each interview and different people, and I will narrate as I go along. Today's show will probably stoke up some memories for some people because it's around suicide and mental health. So if any of this affects you today, I would urge you to contact me. My information will be in the show notes, and I'll also be able to point you in the direction of professionals that might be able to support you. But as I say, the aim of the show today is to increase awareness for suicide. Suicide is about everybody. It's not just about working class, middle class, ethnic minorities. Nobody in society is immune from suicide. So we're going to start off the show with Maria Frampton talking about the increased awareness around mental health and suicide. It's huge in the media and social media. So let's take a listen to Maria Frampton. Hopefully you enjoy the show. Thanks for listening. As far as mental health, you know, it seems to be everywhere right now. Everyone's talking about it all over social media. It used to be huge.
Yeah.
Is it really huge, or are we just more aware of it, or are we more just talking about it now? Has it always been this way, or is there an increase on it? What's your thoughts?
There's an increased awareness of mental health issues. And I mean, even from children, from the day they start school, they're literally being made aware of emotional health. You know, you have little kids in primary schools having circle time where they go and talk about their worries or any concerns they have. In the secondary schools, you have organisations, voluntary organisations like Aware, Pieta House going in to provide education on mental health. Brilliant. For kids. So right throughout the lifespan now, from early on, children are learning about mental health. I mean, as it turns out, there's a lot of talk about it. So one could get the impression that the suicide rates are higher than they've ever been. The overall suicide rate, believe it or not, and this is according to the HSE National Suicide Office, the levels are actually dropping. They're higher in young men, sort of 18 to 24-year-old men. They did increase for a period of time, but overall they're dropping. And actually teenage suicide rates in Ireland are lower than the European average.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I didn't know that.
The European average is about 4.7 per 100,000. We're lower than that in Ireland. Although you would think, from listening to the media, that suicide is huge in Ireland. But we've had a lot of kind of anti-stigma campaigns from the College of Psychiatrists, from the Department of Health. And this is all increasing awareness and talking. So, although it's in the media a lot, it's not as bad, or it's not worse than it's ever been.
It's just the awareness is heightened.
The awareness, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, thanks a lot, Maria, for sharing those excellent points with us. It's a great insight to hear. You know, sometimes mental health can just straight away be perceived as somebody wanting to take their own life, and it's good that young kids now have suicide in their vocabulary and they're talking about it. But as we say, not all mental health leads to suicide, and not all suicides will start with mental health, and that's an important point. But it's good though that kids are using that in their vocabulary, and it's in their talk time, and it's happening in the schools with the circle time, and there's courses, and it's being addressed in the schools, which is a great start. I've always believed that that's where they should start, emotional intelligence from an early age. Okay, so let's have a listen to Shane Kirkwood and Alison MacCarvil as they talk us through their experience of attempting to take their own life. This is a powerful part of the interview, so I will encourage you to mind yourself. And if there's anything within the interviews or anything on the show, you can get in contact with me. I'm not fully qualified, you know, to support somebody with difficulties, but hopefully I'll have the resources to point in the right direction. Okay, Shane, could you talk us through the night that you decided that this is the night that you're going to take your own life?
I'd had a really bad week. I wasn't sleeping. I think I was surviving on about 6 cups of coffee a day. Like I just wasn't coping very well. And I remember it was a Thursday, and I woke up if I'd even slept, to be honest. And I went to work. I was up at 6, got to work for 8, and by 8:30, I'd called one of the commercial managers, told her I wasn't feeling well and I was going home. I didn't know what exactly I was going to do. I just knew something was going to change. So I remember getting home and I put myself on my couch and I tried to make myself go to sleep, but I couldn't sleep. My mind was just constantly going. It was everywhere and anywhere. It was around the corner, down the road. It was just constantly go. So I decided to go to the pub. I was like, I'll have a couple of pints. That maybe will make me tired. And then when I went to the pub, I had 3 pints of Guinness, and I saw there was a newspaper on the counter, and I remember I picked it up, and it was just the cinema listings and Tom Hardy's movie Legend, where he played both Cray twins. Okay. I went and watched that. Don't remember because I bought a bottle of whiskey on the way and drank that all during the cinema.
Wow.
Yeah. Just escaping, just trying to numb whatever was going on, like my head. I just couldn't silence it, and so I was just trying to throw everything I could into just forgetting what was going on. Left the cinema, went home, was picking up my phone and contacting people like my friends and some of my family. Not like telling them I was going to kill myself. I still didn't know what I was doing. I think I was searching for something. I wanted someone to want me. I told myself I was such a burden, that I was the nuisance and I was destroying everybody else's life, that I wanted someone to kind of tell me I was wrong. But I was so emotional and erratic on the phone that like no one really knew what was going on. So that didn't work out. And then I just remember the wire. I don't even know how I knew where it was. I don't know why it popped into my head. It was a big Ethernet cable, and I knew it was there. And I just said, right, I'm gonna go to sleep. This will solve everything. Like, I'm a mess. Like, my son, I'm gonna let my son down. I've let my mother down. My whole family don't like me. They don't love me. They don't want me. I'll be doing them a favor. Like, just everything was terrible. Like, and I thought in a scary way, like, and it's how the mind works. It tricks you, and that I believed the rest of the world would be better off if I wasn't around.
Wow.
It's crazy. So I walked out my back garden. It was converted, so I had like a roof, and there was like wooden beams going across the top. And I put my knees up, tied the electrical cable around the wooden beams, and I remember I put it around my neck, and I was like, right, this is it. And I just slid my knees off, like, and in a weird type of way, I was happy because I knew that, like, there was silence.
Wow.
There was just there was no fighting me. There was no urging me to stop it. It was nothing. It was just like silence, and it wasn't even painful. Like, and I don't mean painful in a sense of like you fall and scrape your knee. Like, it was just, I was free. Like, it didn't hurt me anymore. My mind was silent. Like, there was only one thing going on, and that one thing was going to come to an end. And when that thing came to the end, my mind wasn't going to talk to me anymore.
Jesus, that's powerful.
Yeah, that was how bad I wanted away. And then my next memory was waking up on my kitchen floor with a tube down my throat with ambulance men trying to get air into me and get me alive, and I'd pass out. And then I remember being in the ambulance. Then I remember being in the hospital. And then I remember waking up and my mum was just standing over my bed, like, and she was just like floods of tears, like, and I straight away I was like, I didn't want that. It was a weird, like, parallel to go from being so in need of just getting away because you're such a nuisance to then being like, hold on a minute, like, people love me here. Look what I was doing to people. Like, yeah. How could I have done that? Like, and I didn't see that for so long, and I'd known straight away I didn't mean to do what I did. Okay. I just wanted silence. I needed silence.
Yeah, totally understand that.
I suppose the advice that I could give is, unless you truly admit it to yourself and you hold your hands up and you kind of put it out to the universe that, okay, I'm a little bit powerless here, like, and you let go of all ego associated with who you are, and you go, okay, I'm taking ownership over myself, like, I need help, and there's nothing fucking wrong with that, and I'm sorry for cursing, but it's that important that you are in no way worse than anybody else because of how you are, because of who you are, because of where you are in life, or because where you're supposed to be and you're not there just yet. You are so much more than that. And if you reach out and you let people know, you'd be surprised. My only advice is don't, like, I had a panic of, and like, just telling everybody, I wanted everybody to know because I thought that would make people understand. No, pick the people that you trust and open up, but admit to yourself. Be like, look, I'm helpless here. Like, there is stuff and there is people that can help me. Why not just kind of go, look, I've reached as low as I'm willing to let myself go here. I need the help. I need the help, because one of the things that breaks my heart is the amount of people who felt the same, who did the same as I did, but didn't wake up and get to feel that, I know, I didn't want the permanence to it. I just wanted a temporary mind to just leave me alone. Like, I wanted to be able to breathe and look at the world and see the sunshine again. I'm sick of all this doom and gloom and hurt. I just wanted to stop. I want to wake up and have a coffee and actually see the world and direction and have a purpose again. And a lot of people, as heartbreaking as it is, didn't get that chance. And I, for some reason or whatever reason it is, did. And that's why I like talking about it and why I'm so open about it, because why wouldn't I be open about it? Everybody in the world, everybody from like the person you hate the most to the person you idolise the most, behind every door, behind every smile, they all have the same issues. We all do.
Wow, that's powerful. Look, thanks so much for sharing that with us. It's really difficult to share your vulnerability, and I know from talking to you on lots of occasions that you're cool with that, and I admire that. I admire any man to do that, and I really, really thank you. Thanks a lot, man, for sharing that with us.
Thank you, man. My pleasure.
For sharing that. Ever experienced any downtime, as in mental health difficulties? Yeah?
Oh, I get down the odd time, but I've attempted suicide.
What?
A couple of times, yeah.
Have you?
Yeah.
Would you mind talking to me about that? I'm part of the suicide awareness group.
I was in a bad relationship.
Okay.
That was disapproved of by my mother and all my friends, to the point that two of my friends, they're twins, have decided that they have to vet all potential boyfriend material in case they end up going out with some. I'm not going to use the term that they used to describe this particular person.
Okay, so he's just an unsavoury character, let's say.
Yes, that's the one. And fortunately, they've both approved of my current boyfriend, who isn't an unsavoury person.
Good
Very
lad.
savoury indeed.
Good boy.
Like a packet of crisps.
He's like Skips, is he?
Oh yeah, prawn cocktail.
Prawn cocktail, delicious. Can you talk to me around that period of the attempt on your life?
I just let things get on top of me, and I remember kissing the dog goodbye and saying that I was sorry and like cuddling her and everything. And then I just went, I did what I did at Bullock Harbour.
What did you do?
I went to the chemist. I went to the off license. It wasn't actually open yet. My friend worked there, and I told her that I was going out in the set that night with college friends. I just wanted to get my nagging early, because she was like, "Oh, you're drinking early," joke, and obviously thought that I was just having it for later. And I told her that's what it was, but I just went. I bought some Nurofen Plus from the chemist, the nagging of vodka, and then I just went down to the harbour, and had a little cocktail for myself.
Wow.
But I don't think that was an actual attempt, a genuine attempt to end things, because I rang someone and told them what I was after doing.
Okay.
They rang an ambulance, and I would not have done that if I actually wanted it to be the end.
No, from all my experience working in health as a healthcare professional and being part of the suicide awareness group and my training around it, 99% of people don't want to die. They want the pain to stop. So I totally understand that. Was life that difficult for you up to that point that you?
That's the thing. It was just stupid. I let my emotions get the best of me, and there was really no excuse for it, to be honest. Because I've been so lucky. I have so much support from my family, particularly my mum. She's just there for me 100%. I was in hospital for 3 months. She came in every morning. She stayed all day till the evening, every day that I was in that hospital. And there's no way that anyone could ever there's nothing I can ever do to repay that.
Yeah.
But I'm her only baby, so she says, what else is she going to do?
Yeah, well done. Your mum's a cool woman.
She's fantastic, and I literally just wouldn't be here today. Like, not just because she gave birth to me, but because I just wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for her.
Yeah.
She's dragged me through everything.
Deadly. Fair play to mum. Fair play to mum. Thanks for sharing that with us. So, So you think it might have been more like an impulse?
Yeah, it was stupidity in general.
You're so grateful now that it didn't actually.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
Well, fair play to you. Fair play to you actually for sharing that with me, to share your vulnerability. I'm really, really grateful. And hopefully people can get something from that. Wow. That's all I can say. Every time I hear these stories, and I've heard them so many times over and over and over again, they touch me in the heart each time. One, for their strength of character. Two, for their absolute bravery and sharing their vulnerability with people. It just blows me away, and I'm so grateful. So grateful. They're just beautiful souls and so strong. They're amazing people. I'm delighted to have them on the show. Thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate it. Okay, so let's move into a piece where you will now see that suicide is across all divides of society. And let's talk to Maria about doctors and how suicide affects doctors too. One would assume that they have the inside scoop and it wouldn't affect them, but no. In America, there's hundreds and hundreds of doctors dying each year by suicide. As I say in the intro, suicide affects everyone. Nobody on the planet is immune to suicide. So let's have a listen to Maria and Maeve Nolan talk to us about vicarious trauma and suicide in healthcare workers. An interesting report I read, America, it stated that 300 doctors a year in America die by suicide. That's quite alarming.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, and it's even, there's one physician death in America every day. So
What?
it's more than, it's 300 plus. And it's, I was at a talk recently on burnout by a cardiologist, Paddy Barrett, who was working in the States, and his kind of area of special interest now is burnout. And how it arose was he was going in as a cardiologist into a cath lab one day, and there had been 2 suicides in July in his hospital. Doctors throwing themselves from a height, from a floor, a very high floor. And he commented to a colleague, this is the 2nd suicide this week. And the colleague said, it's that time of year again. And he was just appalled and shocked that this was
the norm.
This was the norm.
What was the time of the year? What
it was the changeover, when doctors change over and are getting used to a new system of working. The long hours, the sleep deprivation, the stresses of litigation, the competitiveness of getting jobs, getting residencies. In the States, they have too many doctors for residencies. Unlike ourselves here, we can't recruit. So there's huge competition and huge pressure. And then the medical licensing authorities in the States insist that you comment or if you've had a previous history of mental illness or a current history. So there's huge stress on people. He was just making the point that the suicide rate is really, really high amongst doctors. Really, really high. Yeah.
Jesus. Yeah. So, talk to me about suicide rates in Ireland. As we just said earlier, you're saying, and you said this to me at a meeting that we were at recently, that they are going down, and I was taken back with that because I'm led by what I see on social media.
Yeah.
But they are going down.
This is the HSE National Office for Suicide. We're hearing a lot more about it, and I suppose there are about 590, up to 600 suicides a year are reported statistically, but we know that there are probably more than that that go. They're reported as unknown cause of death or death by natural causes. So it's there's a very high threshold for reporting somebody's death by suicide. In the past, it was very stigmatised, and we spoke about people committing suicide, which made it was a crime, and using that word commit has, it makes it sound like a crime, whereas nowadays we talk about death by suicide. Suicide rates are undoubtedly falling, though they have in recent years they had risen in young men in that particular group, in the sort of 16, 18 to 24-year-olds. It's
the second highest killer in road traffic accidents in young men, apparently.
Yeah. And very often in the context of impulsivity. And we know that over 50% of suicides once the coroner's report comes out, because we have post-mortems when the cause of death is unknown often, that over 50% of people who commit suicide have a substance, be it alcohol or some other substance on board, which makes us think that it's an impulsive act, rather than a planned act. And a significant proportion of people that do go on to complete suicide don't actually have mental illness. So it's not all in the context of mental illness. It may be impulsivity.
This is a difficult job. We're dealing with trauma. Does I think, if you'll be familiar with vicarious trauma, what's your thoughts on that for staff?
I think it's a real thing. I think it's a very real danger, and it's probably one of the key ingredients of burnout. While we're not traumatised ourselves, we're surrounded by trauma. We're surrounded by people who are at a dark place in their lives, maybe the hardest period they've ever gone through. We're surrounded by... Just sidetrack for a second. I read this sentence once which stopped me in my tracks, and it said rehabilitation can only fail. And I thought, what? That's an awful thing to say. But what it meant was... Say
that to me again. Sorry, go again.
Rehabilitation can only fail. I thought, what?
Huh?
Yeah, exactly. What? But actually what it meant was, and it's not true, rehabilitation doesn't restore people to who they were. Most people do not leave here as good as they were before they got sick.
No.
And in that sense, it can only fail. So people are always going to end up leaving here with some form of, for some people, thankfully it's lesser than for others, but for some form of impairment, whether it's mobility, bladder bowel issues, pain, brain injury, whatever it is, you're going to leave with some kind of impairment and have to learn to deal with that. So that is tough. And I think as staff members, we're working in that environment the whole time where people have a sense of disappointment about, they're delighted very often, thankfully, with rehab, and the feedback that they give about staff here is excellent, but they often leave quite disappointed because they're not who they were. They're going home to challenges and struggles, and I think that takes its toll. Families coming in and seeing wives and husbands with partners who've changed personality, or maybe are in a persistent vegetative state, or maybe can't speak after a stroke. That's massive. And to be surrounded by that, we begin not to see it because we work here and we see it. It's only when you hear a Ryan Tubridy or a reporter come in and they say, I was in the National Rehab last week and oh my God, the work they do is amazing, and you see all these people and you can see them looking at the queue for the canteen or something, and they're pretty thrown away and blown away by the enormity of what they see here. But we just potter along because it's part of our everyday life. But I think it does take its toll, and I think that's why we all have a responsibility. And the PWEG group here, the work that Rose Curtis does, the work of, occupational health, it's just really, really fabulous, because we do need to know what it is. It's American called it soothers. What are the soothers in our own life? What are the things we use to make us feel better? You're very good at it, doing the boot camp, doing your running. I started and gave up, but I should go back to it. Sheila's Pilates, yoga classes. Find something.
That's my question. What do you do? Yeah. How do you soothe your vicarious trauma?
I'm a little bit of a dabbler, so in December I did the December challenge and I felt great, and then I immediately dropped it and haven't done it since. I'll do a little bit of boot camp and then I say, it's too early in the morning for me, so I need to be more persistent. Left to myself, I'm a reader, and cinema is one of my big things.
Just to go back a little bit, and just in relation to what we were talking about earlier about the doctrinal vicarious trauma.
Yeah.
So what do we do to support that? What supports should people be provided with? Or
Yeah, there are informal and formal supports. I suppose you could divide them into, and the informal would be the C&C, so colleagues and coffee rooms. So that the most beneficial support is always your friends and colleagues. They're the people you can open up to, and they'll best support you. They know you best, and being able to go down to the coffee shop and chat to somebody after having a difficult morning, that's probably more important and more valuable than going to somebody, in a formal situation.
Yeah. And it could only take a couple of minutes just to offload.
Absolutely. yeah.
Wow. So there you go. There's some powerful insights from Maria and Maeve to explain how suicide is for everyone. It's not just for people outside or the people across the road or people in this divide or that divide. It's across all classes, all professionals. Suicide is for everyone and nobody's immune to it. So that's a great insight to that, and it's quite powerful, and a great insight to the whole vicarious trauma if you're a healthcare worker. Okay, so let's move into our final section where we listen to Maeve and Maria give us their insights and their tools that they would use to look after their vicarious trauma or their mental health. As we say, suicide is not always a byproduct of mental health problems. It can just happen in isolation, but it's also good to take some hints and tips from professionals and what they do, and we can integrate them into our own life. I will then wrap up the show. I'll try to bring it all together, and hopefully, as I say, we'll increase awareness and also give you skills, tips, hints, whatever you can take home or away with you to support you or a colleague or a friend or a family member that may be experiencing suicidal thoughts or a downturn in their mental health.
All of us can help somebody who's feeling down. You know, I think the biggest gift you can give to anyone is your presence and your ears, to be there for someone and to listen. Because that's all. Most people who are suicidal or talk about committing suicide, not everyone, but most, don't actually want to end their lives. They just want to end their misery.
Oh, 1000%. I've heard that so many times. If
you can sit down and give somebody your time, because very few of us have time nowadays, but just having somebody to talk to can make a huge difference.
Just giving somebody the time and to listen.
Yeah.
And non-judgmental. Few minutes of your time just to hear them.
Yeah.
Whether you agree or whether it's rational or not.
Yeah.
But just to let them unpackage it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a huge
and to be comfortable
insight.
with silence, because the last thing somebody wants to hear is, oh, for God's sake, snap out of it, or look at all you have. You've got a partner and children. How would, this is a selfish thing. That's the worst thing you can say.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's more difficult to kind of sit and say nothing.
Absolutely, because, and especially Irish mammies or Irish people, we try to fix it.
Yeah.
What you need to do now is, you need to do this and you need to do that. And instead of just sitting and going, that's okay.
Yeah.
And listen, valid point. What does Dr. Maria Frampton do to look after mental health? How do you look after your vicarious trauma?
Well, I'm very lucky in that I have a personal psychiatrist on tap 24/7 because my husband, my husband is a psychiatrist. That's really handy. No, but
is it though? Is it handy or can it be difficult for both you?
I know it's good. It's much more advantageous than it's great actually, because we can both kind of bounce things off one another when we're talking about our days, and it's great actually. It's really helpful to get different perspectives on things. I love the sea. Absolutely love the sea. So I love swimming and sailing and going for walks by the sea, and I meditate. So I did a year-long meditation course in the College of Physicians for healthcare workers. Yeah, just about 3 years ago. And I think it's probably the thing that's had most impact on my life since. I'm a huge fan of and mantra meditation. So kind of deeper than mindfulness, if you like. So
talk to me a little bit more about that. What?
So I would try and, I haven't been great of late since the kids got their summer holidays, but I would try and start each day with 20 minutes of meditation in the morning before I start the day. And if I do that, the day is just amazing.
Yeah?
Yeah, is
that like mantras and you pick a word or you're given a certain mantra?
You choose a word and you I sit in the same place in a particular chair in the house every day, and it's a quiet spot that I've chosen. It's my routine. And
is that transcendental meditation?
Not as deep as transcendental. I suppose it's in between mindfulness and transcendental. So you just repeat this word, and the word just stops you. And I mean, it doesn't have any relevance to anything. It's not like you pick a word, it's not going to make you think about your ex-boyfriend or your ex-girlfriend. It'll just be a meaningless word. Yeah, Maranatha is the word we used on the, and it's Aramaic for "Come Lord." is the word, yeah.
That's interesting.
And we just repeat that. And what I'd say is it's a simple process, but it's not easy. It's very difficult. Like, you never stop learning, or you can never improve your meditation enough. There are mornings when my thoughts are just all over the place.
Your monkey mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Oh, you
other
meditate,
days when
so.
it's a bit better. But the mantra brings you back. So when you're wandering, you just keep coming back to the mantra.
Yeah.
And you set an alarm and you do your 20 minutes. And it's
Are you an exerciser? Do you get out?
yeah. I would have been probably more when I had more time in my younger days. But I try and ideally, I suppose exercise is hugely important to me. I have to be doing something most days, even if it's just a walk. Again, it's a great de-stressor. It's just something small. If it's a 20-minute walk, or I tried to swim, but there was a time when I'd swim every morning before work. Now I'm lucky if I get to swim twice a week.
Oh yeah.
But
Do you
so
in
the
the
water
sea? In the sea, like?
in the sea in the summer, and then in the pool in the winter. And the water just transforms you. I think you just feel great when you come out. Yeah.
Okay, so that wraps up another powerful podcast. I'm blown away by that. You know, I've listened to it over and over again, and it's touched me on so many levels. So I can only imagine what it's like for you if you've only heard it for the first time. So I'll urge you to mind yourself. If it has impacted you or connects with anything in your past or something that's going on in your present, please talk to somebody. Please get in contact with me, and I'll point you in the right direction. My contact details will be in the show notes, or if you know me, you can contact me on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. I'll try point you in the right direction to get support. I will point you towards professional advice. They'll be also in the show notes. I would like to thank Shane and Alison for sharing their vulnerability and their powerful stories. And that's not easy. That's absolutely not easy. I've known the guys now a little bit, and they're just such brave souls, really brave souls, and I admire them. Thanks very much, guys. Also thank Maria and Maeve Nolan for sharing their professionalism and the experience that they bring. You know, they've been involved in this for a long time, and it's just so resourceful to have those guys and to be able to work and gain such knowledge and then deliver it to you guys. So thanks very much, Maria and Maeve. You guys are absolute legends as human beings. I would just like to go over again, just to reinforce what we've learned from that podcast. You know, if anybody knows of somebody that's experiencing suicidal thoughts or downturns in their mental health, what we can do for them, the great skills we have, as Maria says, is listen. Your presence, your ears and your time. These are the best skills you can give to somebody. What somebody does not need is for you to judge them, to criticise them, to give them advice. Tell them to be positive, tell them to cheer up, look at all the good things, give them space, give them time, and listen. You know, we can do well by communicating with the heart. Hear, empathise, acknowledge, respond and thank. If you go with that each time, you'll be doing somebody an absolute service. Yeah, as I say, empathise with the person, understand and give them the space. That's what I take from all the courses, the training that I've been on, or sitting down with professionals. These are the basic, simple skills that we need, and they're at our disposal. If somebody is in a higher state of stress, okay, then you would bring them on to somebody professional, to somebody more qualified than yourself. And that's what I took from the interviews or talking to people that have experienced thoughts of suicide, is to listen. Giving somebody your time and your presence is one of the most valuable commodities you can give somebody. So that's all I'd say to you. As I say, listen, and be present. Okay, so there you have it. As always, I'd like to thank Niall Riley from Rooney Graphics, Carolyn Harvey from ISA Nutrition, and Kevin Doyle, sound editor, and Aaron Kyo, social media. Thanks a lot, lads, you absolute legends. I best not forget to thank the Suicide Awareness Committee in the National Rehabilitation Hospital for giving me this opportunity to produce an excellent podcast. I really enjoyed it, so thanks a lot. You guys are absolute legends. You support me in this. You also support me in all the other shows that I do with the encouragement and listening and sending out positive vibes. Thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate it. As always, I'll ask you to subscribe on iTunes, SoundCloud, or whatever medium you listen to on, but also leave a review on iTunes if you're on it. We really need those. Again, share with family and friends. We're on iTunes. We're on all social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, so check us out. We've lots of shows there, lots of different content, so it's something for everybody, I think, and that's the way we're going forward with the show. So as always, I'll always end with, please mind yourself, give yourself eternal hugs, because that way then you become a better human being. When you practice love and kindness to yourself, you can empathise with other people and you can be loving and kind to them. So wherever you are in the world, mind yourself and have a great day. Cheers, bye bye.